Okay, I've not been doing a lot in the studio lately because it's been open studios, so I've had lots and lots of people visiting. And this area, which I use for wet mounting normally, has been stacked up with artwork ready for sale and stuff. So I wasn't able to do any of this while the open studios was on. But people are very interested in this process, so I thought I'd make a quick video on how we do the wet mounting technique. So this is a seabass print that I did a couple of weeks back. So I know it's nice and dried out. The ink is well settled into the surface of the paper. This is a Chinese washi paper. I use lots of different papers. I do use like Japanese papers and Thai papers as well, but they're all these really lightweight papers, so they flex really nicely over the surface of the fish. But as you can see, it's now cockled because the paper has shrunk where the ink has gone onto the surface of the paper. So it's all bent out to shape and won't frame nicely. So now I'm going to do some wet mounting. So I'm going to start with just a spray bottle with some tap water in it and spray that all over the back of the paper, and this will just relax the paper down onto the board, ready so I can start putting the glue onto the back of the paper. So that's good enough. I'll just give it a quick shake out, and I always start in the middle. I first learnt this technique online off YouTube by watching Henry Lee, the Chinese watercolour painter, and I've sort of developed the technique for my practice from that. So I have here a bamboo and goat hair brush and some very thin flour and water glue that's got some alum bean powder in it. It's very thin, so it goes over the surface of this really nicely and gets really absorbed into the paper. And as you can see, this really wide brush helps me to just take all the lumps and bumps out of the paper, push them out towards the edges of the paper. So that's why I start in the middle and work my way out. Again, another good tip that I got from Henry Lee off YouTube. Credit where credit's due. So as you can see, this end of the print now is down. It's completely adhered to the board. And you will see that I'm taking the glue around the edge of my print. Okay, so that end done. Excuse me while I reach over and do the same with this end of the print here. Pushing all that air, all the creases away from the centre and out to the edge, and eventually right out off the paper completely. So that's it, there we go. And again, taking the glue all the way around the edge of the print. I'm actually in a very hot studio today. We've got warm weather here in North Wales, and my studio is a bit like a greenhouse. So what I've got here is the same glue but not let down as much. It's thicker, and I'm going to put a good dollop of that all the way around the edge of my print as well, just for good measure. So this is gluier glue, basically. I need to wipe that dollop off there. It's fallen on the print. And the reason I do this is because in hot weather, what I've discovered is that my prints tend to dry too quickly, and then they lift off the board, and I end up with a bent print, which is not what I'm aiming for. So I've got a sheet of backing paper. It will reinforce the print and hold it in place and become part of the print actually. This actually becomes a second sheet of paper that's completely welded to the print. So get that onto my handy piece of cling film tube here. And then I'd start from one end and take out my other brush, which is a palm fibre brush, and much coarser than the goat hair one that I used to apply the glue with. And this I found works better if I work really quickly, don't get any lumps in the paper. It's not dissimilar to wallpapering really. And there you can see I'm now I've got my print down onto the acrylic board, and that will stay there now until it's dry, hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully it won't ping off in the meantime, but if it does, I'll just wet it down and remount it. It's a fairly flexible process.